And now I'm very honored to welcome Mario Vargas Llosa, renowned novelist.
Thank you very much. The Inca Garcilaso wrote that he composed the Comentarios Reales forced by the natural love of his fatherland. I am here in this podium forced by the persuasive friendship of Raquel Chang-Rodriguez. I'm not a specialist on Inca Garcilaso de la Vega, so I cannot say any original about him. But what I can say is that I had the chance to participate in this symposium that was organized last year by the America Society, particularly by Raquel Chang-Rodriguez, as a commemoration of the 400 years of the publication of Comentarios Reales. I can assure you that it was a very, very interesting cultural event. The studies were excellent, the discussions around the different papers were magnificent, and I think his imagination and his fantasy. And this gives, I think, to his history books its personal originality. His description of the pre-Hispanic world, particularly the Inca Empire, was the first written by someone who had a direct and personal testimony of the way in which the Inca people, the survival people of the conquest and the destruction of the empire, the way in which they saw this catastrophe, this atrocious event. He was part of the Inca society as the son of an Inca princess, and his memory preserved the stories, sad, tragic, that he heard from his maternal parents, relatives during his childhood and his youth. In his Comentarios Reales, he repeats several times that unlike other historians of the pre-Hispanic world, he knew the language of the Incas and that he had a better understanding of this world because the language. His idea of the Inca Empire is impregnated with this vision of the Inca survivals. And there is probably an involuntary effort to embellish the past of the Incas and to eradicate everything that could be damaging for the image of this society. But even if this testimony is biased, the testimony is extremely important because for the first time gives us an idea of the way in which the Indians, the Quechua people vision the tragic experience that they had faced with the arrival of the Europeans. He loved the Quechua language. He loved the Inca Empire. He felt deeply solidary with the sufferances and the abuses and the crimes that we suffered during this period. But nothing of this destroyed the kind of solidarity that he also had with the language, with the culture, and with the people of his father, who was a conqueror, and through which he also belonged to the Spanish Empire, as because of his mother, he belonged to the Inca Empire. I think that this aspect of the Inca Garcilaso is particularly relevant in our days. We are celebrating 200 years of the beginning of the process of the separation of the Spanish American colonies from the Spanish Empire. And within this context, once again, we are hearing nationalistic arguments and even ethnic and even racialist arguments to describe the identity of Latin America. I think the example of Inca Garcilaso de la Vega can be very instructive about this delicate subject. He was a mestizo, a half-bred person. It wasn't easy to be a mestizo in those times. There were prejudices, menosprecio, said the Inca Garcilaso in los comentarios reales about the mestizos. They were not loved by the Spaniards, they were not loved by the Indians. Even in modern times, the prejudices against mestizos are enormous. I remember a novel by a very important Peruvian writer, Jose Maria Arguedas, in which the mestizo word is so offensive that people, when are called mestizos, became absolutely furious and felt so offensive. Well, in this sense, I think Garcilaso de la Vega is an extraordinary moral character. He is the first writer that, as he said with a beautiful expression, se llena la boca llamándose mestizo. He was proud of being a mestizo. He thought that to be a mestizo was something that enriched a personality, giving him both traditions, both languages, two different kinds of experiences that enlarge his vision of the world. When he wrote that, that was really revolutionary. That was something that went against the moral, social, and even religious current of the times. Well, he never thought that there was an incompatibility in being very proud of being an Indian from Peru and Cusco, and being an Spaniard who talked Spanish, who wrote in Spanish, and at the same time who felt that the Quechua language was a very rich and a very emotional language in which nuances of feelings and emotions could be expressed exactly, and in some cases even better than in his Spanish. I think it's very, very interesting, his case, because he was a mestizo not only in his ideas, in his conviction that to be a mestizo was not in any way diminishing for his personality, but also in the way that he wrote. He wrote a very elegant and a very personal kind of Spanish, a very cultivated Spanish, because he was a widely read person. In his private library, there were classics, Greek classics, Latin classics, and all the important writers of Spain of his time. And all this, of course, is present in the richness of his vocabulary and the elegance of his phrases. But there is some difference between the prose of the Inca Garcilaso and the prose of the best contemporary Spanish writers. There is a feeling, there is nostalgia, there is a kind of prudence to talk about certain things. There is a delicacy in the choice of words and linguistic ways to express his convictions, and particularly to criticize others that reveal or denounce his maternal tradition, a tradition in which discretion, delicacy in the choice of words, the uses of indirect ways to express himself are the major characteristics. He is the first mestizo prose writer, the first Latin American writer in which both traditions, Spain and Indian, mixed in a way that produced something new in the feelings, something new in the imagination, something new in the vision of these two worlds coalesced in one. It's an enormous pleasure to read Inca Garcilaso de la Vega. I think this is the best credential that we must mention when we pay an homage to the first Peruvian, to the first mestizo, to the first Latin American. And we must also be very thankful to him, because before anyone else, he showed to us, Latin Americans, the way in which, if we want to be modern, if we want to be civilized, we must approach the very difficult subject of our identity.